Hi, I'm Wilford Brimley for Loafing Dog. You know, when I get the hankering for a hot dog, I go to Cleveland, Texas. Just a couple blocks off the square, they got Loafing Dog. They got the Neely Dog, the Mary Sunshine Dog, the Casey Dog, and the Shirley Dog. Why, they even got the Pacer Dog, the Brooklyn Dog, and the Jim Dog. Can't forget the Shane Dog, or the Joy Dog, and the Monty Dog. I like that fool. The Nakia Dog and the Braxton Dog round things off. Why, they even got a kids menu too.
Loafing Dog, 208 East Chambers Street, Cleveland, Texas. Lunch, catering, or takeout, plus outdoor seating. Phone numbers 817-556-1040.
This is Wilford Brimley. And don't forget, Loafing Dog won't give you diabetes.
If you are trying to quit drinking or doing too many drugs, listen to me. You don't know me and we'll never meet. I had a problem like you once. I drank and used to party a little too much till it got out of control and almost ruined my life. I realized I needed help to fix my problem before it totally destroyed me. If you've tried to fix your drinking and drug problem and you know you can't do it alone, you need to call the National Treatment Advisors. They'll immerse you into a 30-day program to replace your old habits with new habits and totally change your life. And if you have PPO private health insurance, the entire program may be covered. Fix your problem right now before it gets any worse. Get clean. Call now and learn more. 877-247-1581. 877-247-1581. 877-247-1581.
Hey, there's something you forgot to do. It sure is hot. Are you sweating like a dog? Wait, what? Dogs don't sweat. Oh no, you forgot to get your window tinted. Whether it's the kitchen window that sits in the sun for the hottest part of the day, or you just got new wheels, call Sharp Window Tinting in Burleson. 817-615-9379, or look them up on the web, sharpwindowtint.com.
At Romika Designs, we're more than just a laser engraving and specialty design company. Much more. I'm Ron Phillips, co-owner of Romika Designs, and if you can dream it, we can probably make it. We can custom laser cut and engrave on nearly all material. Great for one-of-a-kind gifts, home decor, business and specialty items, or personalized and logo designs created just for you or your company. Allow us to become your go-to gift and specialty project partner. Romika Designs can help make your ideas a reality. We're ready to help you design and create that special gift for any occasion or engrave your personal or business logo on just about any product. View our designs at romikadesigns.com or simply email us with your ideas. We specialize in custom design and we'd be honored to have the opportunity to discuss it with you. Call us at 817-400-4040, email info@romikadesigns.com, or visit us on the web at romikadesigns.com.
Fast Track Student Loans can get your student loans out of default, stop any wage garnishments, stop collection calls, and stop seizure of your tax refund. Give yourself a break. Stop the stress and get your student loan payments down to as little as $25 a month based on what you can afford to pay. 800-709-4395, 800-709-4395, 800-709-4395, 800-709-4395.
Serving Johnson County, Texas, Joco Community Radio.
Hello, good afternoon. This is Real Estate Reality with your host, Diana Roberts. I've also got with me my co-host,
Jason Chandler with Affinity Mortgage in Burleson.
And we've got our special guest today. Bobby, do you want to introduce yourself and tell us where you're from?
You bet. So I'm Bobby Lackey. I'm with Grandview Bank. We're kind of new to the area. We opened up a location back in December of last year. We bought the old Community National Bank and Trust building which if you're familiar with Burleson, it's on the south side of Burleson, just north of the QT there in Mountain Valley. So kind of the south end of Burleson. A lot of people think we're in Joshua, but it's actually Burleson. So,
Okay,
yeah,
very
yeah.
nice.
So we're new to the area. So excited to be here. I'm not new to Burleson. I've been here about 7 years myself in the area as a lender. So kind of brought Grandview Bank this way. So we're excited to be here. We're actually one of the fourth oldest state chartered banks in Texas. Right now, we may actually be three. One of the banks got gobbled up by a bigger competitor, but we specialize in that. Our original location's in Grandview, right off kind of the red brick road, I like to say, if you're familiar with Grandview.
Love Grandview. I'm
Yeah,
a big fan of
for
Grandview.
sure. It's a cool little town for sure.
Yes.
So
I like to ride on the Harley with my husband through there.
yeah, it's cool. Just watch out for the cattle traders. But
Yeah,
we've got,
I do that.
yeah, we've got 5 locations. Burleson was our 5th. So Grandview was the original, and then we opened up a location in Cleburne in 2000, I believe, 2005 range. And then we've got a location in Alvarado. Weatherford was our last location before we bought Burleson, and now Burleson. So looking to expand even further. The guy that owns us, we're local ownership. He lives in Fort Worth, and he's 100% owner of Grandview Bank. So super, super good guy, and one of the reasons I went to work for him. So excited to be in Burleson area. Yeah, you bet. Glad to be on the show with you today.
I'm glad to have you because honestly, I've got some commercial stuff going on in my real estate right now, which is exciting.
Yeah,
So it's good stuff.
for sure. Yeah, commercial going to be a bear. That's for sure.
It can be, yes. But I love it. It excites me. Like commercial stuff, like that completely excites me. So this is going to be really good information for me and all of the listeners that are listening in today too. So thank you for coming on and talking to us.
You bet. Well, what kind of commercial stuff do you got going right now? We can kind of jump into it and talk about it.
Well, yeah. So I've got a client that is looking for a commercial building here in Burleson to open up a bar restaurant.
Okay. Yep.
Yes.
That's exactly something we do. So we specialize in mainly what I do is commercial real estate financing. We do anything from commercial real estate to equipment lending to agricultural lending, really specializing in real estate. But we do a lot of restaurants and bars. Those have kind of been a hot topic of late just because through COVID, a lot of those took a big hit.
Yes.
And it was kind of a scary time for a lot of bar restaurant owners, but it's coming back fierce. We're in a really good area in North Texas. So is that something local, like Burleson area?
Yeah, it's going to be here in Burleson.
Cool.
Yeah, that's where we're looking. Either in Grandview or absolutely. I can definitely send them your way.
There's a lot of stuff. I don't know. Some of you have been to like Old Town Joshua. It's kind of mimicking what I would say Old Town Burleson.
I live in Joshua.
Joshua's a cool area. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff happening in Johnson County.
So beautiful.
We're in a good spot. But Old Town Burleson kind of has really set off a lot of that bar scene. Mm-hmm. And Old Town Joshua's kind of doing the same thing right now with Hickory Tree and the Owl's Nest and some other stuff down
the brick.
There. The brick is huge.
Yes.
There's a lot of good spots down there.
Absolutely.
But that's a cool vibe.
It is. Yes.
So, right by the police station.
Right by the police station. Yeah. So be careful.
Be
careful if you're out there at night. They might be sitting out there waiting for you to leave.
Right.
So we do lunch there quite a bit with clients. The Owl's Nest and Hickory Tree. I actually just came from Hickory Tree having lunch with a guy. So
did you? I love their food and their breakfast is phenomenal. Have you had the chimichanga?
I haven't had the chimichanga.
No. Oh well, it's a chimi breakfast burrito. That's what it's called.
Okay.
So good.
I haven't had breakfast there. I've only had lunch or dinner. So I have to try their breakfast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And their mimosas. They're freshly squeezed orange juice.
Yeah. Okay.
With them, I mean, come on now.
There you go. Mimosa free stuff,
y'all. Yeah. All right, we had to bring it. We're talking commercials, so we got to talk about what's going. No, that's great.
We got off on restaurants here. That's okay. We do a few of those though. We finance restaurants.
Okay.
Something like that. You're usually require a little bit more liquidity in the game. Type of capital. We want you to come to the table with some skin in the game. Is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, absolutely.
But we offer stuff like that. Typically what you're seeing around here as far as rates and terms and stuff, something like that is a lot of people get tied up in rates and terms. We're more or less looking at the guarantor on the deal versus the actual business itself. We want to make sure you've got some history, because we're conventional financiers. We don't do a lot of SBA. We can do SBA, which is a little bit more for a one-time startup business type deal.
Okay.
Versus we're more conventional. So we want to see you have some history in that field.
But if you don't have history, they can still come to you and they can.
Yeah, if you're a startup, you can come to me and we'll chit chat. I'm probably going to refer you elsewhere if you're a brand new startup.
Well, that's what they would be. It's a brand new startup.
Yeah, and I can help somebody like that. It's not typically what I do, but I've got connections to send them to the right people. A lot of startups like that they'll go through SBA, which if you don't know what SBA is, it's a Small Business Association.
Okay.
And they typically will guarantee part of the deal for the bank. So it makes it a little less risk for the bank itself if you go SBA route. So requires less capital injection up front. that kind
Okay.
of thing. So,
Hey,
But,
Bobby,
but yeah, for sure.
because that's interesting to me. So, can they, when you said they go through the SBA, do they completely go through that? Or they go through them, and SBA then goes back and says, "Okay, we'll partner with your bank," or they?
So yeah, that's a great question. So it's kind of where the bank is still actually handling the transaction. So the bank goes through SBA, which SBA is subsidized by the government.
Mhm.
So you actually go through SBA and you'll get a partial guarantee of that credit. And I'm talking specifically about a 504 here. If you go through a 504, you'll get a government guarantee on that loan. So for instance, we may loan you, just take $1 million loan, for instance, they'll guarantee 90% of that. So that's a $900,000 guarantee from the government of that loan. So then our underwriting gets a little less stressful. So that's kind of where you go. And that requires less upfront cash. It does cost you a little bit more typically over the life of the loan if you go SBA, but they build that capital injection into the end. So they're letting you kind of build up your business to get where you need to be, but before you get there. But yeah, that's a good question. SBA is a really good route. So yeah. What's that?
I was saying, bring the mic in just a
Bring-
little bit
am
more.
I not?
toward-
Okay, there you go. I'm sorry. I didn't know she was
You're
over here
very
waving at me.
monotone.
Like,
Yeah, I was like waving.
yeah,
I was like,
I'm
bring it to
monotone.
me.
Yeah, sorry.
That's
I had my
okay.
mic in.
There's nothing wrong with that. I just
Yeah, I
want them
didn't
to be able. I want to
Yeah,
make
I
sure
thought you were
they're hearing
waving
you.
at me. I didn't know what was going on. So yeah, you're good. Yeah.
Come
okay.
on.
Yeah,
Come
come
on.
on in. Come on in.
Come on in.
But yeah, no, that's a great question. And we offer SBA. We're not a preferred lender. There's some banks here in town that are, and if I get a lot of SBA requests, I'll send them either. We'll look at them and see if we can do them. But if it's something that's too big for us, then I'll send them, to a different bank that's SBA specialized.
Okay.
Well, I had a client that I had helped down by Caparis Cove or Copperas Cove when you start getting down towards Austin and Lampasas and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And she called me the other day, and she's looking to franchise out her business. And I'm on the residential side, and I was like, well, I think I've got some a commercial banker or something you need to talk to. And she goes, yeah, I'm just curious. Let me call you back on that. So I may have someone to send you
There you go.
there.
Thank you.
But that whole franchising deal, I was like, that sounds like if you're brand new or you've been, if it's an employee that's been working in that industry and they're like, hey, I want to open a branch or a store and just franchise under you. How do they get that started?
Yeah,
But that's
exactly.
that's where talking to a banker and then again maybe with the SBA that might come together.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
And a lot of that falls back on, like I said, who's trying to franchise. So, for instance, if it's somebody that's just starting up and has minimal cash, even though a lot of people kind of get misconstrued, credit doesn't mean a whole lot on the credit side or on the commercial side. You need to have good credit. But good credit is not going to get you a commercial loan. So many people think that's the case, and it's not. That's a consumer loan. Good credit. You walk in, try to buy a car. That's totally separate than a commercial deal. We're more or less looking at your financial profile versus your credit. You need to have good credit just to start with. That's bare minimum. You're not even at first base yet with good credit. You need to have some liquidity, cash in the bank was what I mean by that. You need to have some assets to fall back on in case push comes to shove, and you need some quick cash to offset some issues going on. You need to have assets, you need to have cash, and you need to have experience. That's the two biggest things. And then, we're big on character. So we're looking at our borrower, have they been through something like this before? How have they handled it? Or are they coming in here, guns blazing and don't have any idea what they're doing? We're kind of looking at your experience in the situation rather than just looking at credit. Credit's very minimal on the commercial side. People get caught up in that.
So just because you ride on a Harley doesn't mean you can come open a Harley.
Harley store. Yeah, Harley store. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, there you go. That's a good analogy.
He wants a
yeah.
little bit just because I love riding on my Harley.
Yeah,
you need to know you need to know about the Harley. You need
Have
to
you
know
sold one
mechanics.
before?
Yeah,
Have you sold?
exactly.
Exactly right. And we get that all the time.
Yeah,
It's not
makes sense.
people's. It's
Yeah,
not
it does.
people's fault. It's just they don't know what they don't know. So, and a lot of people are very nice about it. They come and ask questions. Especially a new business owner that's just kind of getting started. They've done their research. They've watched YouTube. Whether those kind of people are the ones that really need some experience before they need to get a mentor or somebody that's done what they're trying to do to kind of guide them and lead them down the path. But some people that come in there too that just maybe they've done this before and fell on hard times and something happened and went through a divorce or something happened and it hurt their financial profile or the financial statement, and they really have a good plan and a good that is considered historical performance and what we would consider at a bank. So
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and let's say you have somebody that comes to you that maybe has owned a business, but it wasn't necessarily a business that they're wanting to open now. Like it's a different franchise. Like it's not franchise, but it's a different
Sure, industry. Yeah.
industry. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
different
That's the
industry,
word
yeah.
I was looking for.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, absolutely. So if it's a different industry, it depends on like, are they similar at all in any cases? You know, how did they handle that? Did they get into bankruptcy? You know, anytime bank sees bankruptcy, they're going to run. So
Right.
it's just what it is. Even if it's within 7 years, you're going to get asked. And unfortunately, we've had some people I've had to ask for. A lot of people don't realize just because you hand me a tax return doesn't mean that that's what I'm going to look at. Because if it's a big enough deal, we'll order what we call a transcript from. And I'm sure you know what that is, being in the mortgage industry, what a transcript is. But unfortunately, you've seen some. Believe it or not, there's some crazy times we live in. But you do see some falsified tax returns every now and then. When you order a transcript, it doesn't look nothing like the real deal. And, you know, you're getting into a pretty big loan when we get to that. But you're talking $3-4 million plus. But we have done that and seen some falsified tax returns in the past. So you got to be careful with that. So, but yeah, if they're in the same industry and, you know, they've had success in that, we can verify that. And, you know, we like the person, they have good character and pretty good profile, we definitely look into that. We would consider that historical performance if they had a different industry.
Okay.
That they had success.
And if they come with you like a business plan, like they've already got their business plan, they've already got their building pretty much mapped out how they want to put it together.
Sure.
You know,
I love them.
Okay.
If they come in with
well,
their
you
stuff
might
together,
like my people then.
yeah, if they come in with their stuff together, I love them. You'd be blown
Okay.
away how many times I have people that walk in that have nothing together except what's in their head and start
Right.
chit chatting. So they quickly realize that there's a lot more to it than what they've been thinking about. So not that I know everything by any means, and that's why I try to approach banking. I'm not the business owner. I'm the banker.
Yeah.
So I need to guide them with what I'm good at, and they need to show me what they're good at. So it's a two-way street.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, but they need to know what they're good at too.
Okay.
So, but yeah, that was a great question.
So, well, if they come in, instead of saying, well, we want to take over this building, well, we actually want to build, we got some land. Well,
Yeah.
First of all, land is skin in the game, right?
Yeah,
Hey, we
exactly.
own this land.
Equity injection.
Absolutely.
Yep.
That's good, or almost good as money, right?
Exactly.
So you could look at actually doing the construction part of what
Yeah,
the building
actually,
name, their office. Or whatever.
absolutely. And we do a lot of construction loans. You know, we don't just do commercial real estate. We do a lot of interim construction loans for builders and do a lot of land financing that may be commercial related as well. So yeah, we can look at it both ways.
Sweet.
For sure. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so what about like equipment too? Because I know a lot of times, when you start up a new business or you've got a building, but the building may not have been what you are wanting to make it into, right?
Sure.
You're wanting to change a lot of that building and
Yeah.
add additional equipment that is going to be necessary for whatever industry that they're wanting to go into.
Yeah, we do
What-
rehab. It'd be a rehab loan. Yeah, something
Okay.
like that. You come in and have the building. Equipment financing and real estate will be separate.
Okay.
We would do those on two different notes. And as far as rate and terms right now, just to kind of give everybody an idea what you're looking at. Rates have gone up drastically. I know Jason can attest to this. He's in the mortgage game, but primes went up, in the last 6 to 8 months, drastically. The prime's right now at 6.25. It got bumped 75 bips last week or the week before. I can't remember. And they're projecting to go to 7% by end of the year. And if that happens, you're going to be looking at a probably 7 to 8% rate on a commercial loan. And I'm talking equipment, even commercial real estate, is in the close to the sevens right now, which is high. If you have a really good profile, we can get you in the sixes. But on equipment, we look at it on like a 5 to 6 year payback, typically if the equipment's fairly new.
Okay.
And when I say new, we're talking 2 to 3 years old. But some of this equipment nowadays, these dozers, tractors, this stuff can get up in the $300,000-$400,000 purchase range, easy, quick.
Mhm.
And that's for something that's, middle of the road. So it'll happen real quick on you. But in the terms, like I said, 5-6 years, probably looking at 7% range on something like that right now. And that's probably pretty generic across the board. Not just our bank, but, any other bank in the area.
Okay. And for those that don't know, so knowing that the interest rate, like in mortgage, the interest rate's high right now. However, if it starts to go down, people can go back and refinance. Can they do that with commercial loans as well?
Yeah, absolutely. You sure can. It's really similar to a mortgage loan in that respect. You can look at refinancing. You're going to have more closing costs involved in it, just because typically the balances are higher on commercial requests, and you have to rewrite the title policy. And that kind of thing. But yeah, we actually, as soon as the rates start falling, we start getting a lot of calls. But when I start raising, we don't ever get a call. So nobody's ever called and told me to raise my rate. But I've had a lot of calls saying, hey, can you lower my rate? And, that's just business. But good business people call and ask if you can lower their rate. So, and they want the best rate you've got, because you want to minimize your expense on your interest side for sure. So
yeah, absolutely.
100%. But yeah, that happens quite a bit. Refis, we do some of those. That's very competitive right now. Every bank in town, I think, wants what we call owner occupied CRE, which is one of the best loans you can put on the books. That means you own the business, and you all, just kind of like you do here. I don't know who owns this structure, but it would be like Joco Radio owns this building and you operate out of the building. So it's your building and you're making money out of the building, which is owner occupied CRE. So that's a competitive market. Like I saw rates before prime went nuts about 6 to 8 months ago. I was seeing rates in the threes on owner occupied CREs fixed for 10 years, 15 years, which is extremely competitive, because commercial rates, you don't really get long-term fixed rates. You're going to be on like a maybe 5 to 7 year, what we call amortization.
Yeah.
Or I'm sorry, 5 to 7 year rate adjustment on a 20-year amortization.
Okay.
So you're paying the loan back over 20 years, but every 5 years your rate adjusts. So it's not like a mortgage where you have a 30-year fixed rate. A little different.
Yeah, that is nice though.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And that's where you hear the term balloon come in a lot.
You do. Yep.
Where they're
Happens
either
a lot.
pay it off, refinance it, but one way or the other, something's got to be done with that balance. And
Yes.
what is it? I guess it depends on the kind of property you're talking about, but
It does. Yep.
if I had a 20-year am on, say, a restaurant, what normally that would balloon at what time?
You know, a lot of banks, especially small town banks, we're small. We're about 450 million in assets, which is very small compared to, for instance, Frost is 20 billion, you know, so they're massive. They're I would say probably the rates or the amortization schedule over that. We were doing 3-year balloons at one point, and some of the small banks got away from that because it's killing our back office, because every 3 years you've got a renewal, you know, you've got to put in place. So we went to 5 years on a lot of those, but now what we're doing, we're not even doing balloon notes. We're just doing what you would call, it's similar to an ARM loan in a mortgage, which you would understand, adjustable rate mortgage. So every 5 years, your rate adjusts to the prime plus whatever spread you're approved at. So right now, prime 6.25, we typically approve at prime plus 1. So that would be 7.25. And then after 5 years, it would adjust to whatever prime is at that time, plus the same spread. So if prime comes down, you know, if they didn't build what they call a floor rate in, your interest rate would come down with prime. Prime goes up. Banks don't really like to build ceilings in because then they make more money, but they can. There can be a ceiling built in and a floor, which is a high cap rate and a low cap rate.
Mm-hmm.
So you could build that in, and then your rate would go up with prime. So, but balloons, yeah, were a big deal, especially, you know, between, I'll probably say in the 90s, they were huge because banks wanted to look at that deal every 3 years. Because when it balloons, the whole balance, like you said, it comes due and payable after the 5 years, and the bank has to approve that renewal. On an adjustable rate, it's approved. It's just your rate's going to adjust.
It's
Like
changing.
you can't be forced to sell that loan or move that loan. With a balloon, you can. So it's a big difference.
So the client's better off, the borrower is better off not having the balloon there,
Correct.
and
Yes.
that pressure of, hey, we're either going to refi you or tell you to go somewhere else and pay us off.
Yeah,
now they're just, the rate's going to change based on what's going on. So
yeah, and that's very correct. A lot of people misconstrue that. Just, you know, so you know, very good point you brought up, because balloons actually are a very risky play for a small business owner, and they're not really depicted in that manner, and I don't think they're meant in that manner, but they do give the bank a lot more flexibility than I think the borrower understands. Because if you hear the term balloon, and it is a balloon, that means after that balloon is up, you could be forced to move that loan out of the bank if, you know, they don't want it. And there's really there's no master medium there that tells them what's good or bad. If they don't want that loan, they can make you move it after that balloon's up.
So avoid the balloon.
Avoid the
Get ready for
balloon.
the arm.
Yes, avoid the balloon if you can. But like I said, a lot of small banks are still doing them. We don't do that many of them anymore. We're
Gotcha.
pretty much arms. Yeah, we do
That's
arm
good.
rates. Yep, for sure.
I think that
great
sounds
question.
like a better opportunity for them anyway.
Yeah,
You know,
it
a better
really is.
option.
It really is,
So
for sure.
absolutely.
For sure, but yeah. And land loans are the same way. You know, we do a lot of land loan construction stuff. As far as, I've got a lot of people want to buy land and say, hey, I want to buy this and maybe build on it in 2 years. You know, we can do stuff like that. And Jason and I work a lot together on stuff like that. I send him some mortgage referrals and he sends me commercial stuff. So it works well. But he may call me and say, hey, I got someone who wants to buy commercial land and they want to build. And then I got them financed for the mortgage, you know, after the fact. So we do a lot of that, deal with a lot of builders, and just rates and terms have kind of went crazy right now, but we're still pedaling away. Believe it or not, we're still extremely busy. You know, things haven't stopped, especially in North Texas, or kind of where we're at in Johnson County and Tarrant County. we're in a bubble, and that bubble is not burst yet here at all whatsoever. But it's slowed stuff down with rates going up for sure. Because somebody that could afford a $400,000 house, 6 months ago can't do it now
Right.
because their debt to income was too high. That's the stuff you're seeing fall out.
Yeah, that's what we talked
Mhm.
about on our last show is, how the market has definitely shifted and how if you are still wanting to purchase, because we know how it works, people are always they always need to buy a house. There's all kinds of different reasonings to have to buy a house. Commercial, though, is a little bit different.
Correct.
So I understand that might be a little bit more of a challenge, but it's really good news to hear that you guys are still booming.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's been still extremely busy, and good thing is, it was for the longest. It was a seller's market. I mean, if you were selling
Oh, yeah.
property, and it still is, don't get me wrong,
Right.
but prices have come down a little bit on land and buildings in general. I've been seeing stuff sitting on the market, even on the commercial side, kind of what you're seeing on the residential side, just the same. Still asking for
I
quite a
don't
bit of
know.
money.
I've
but
been seeing a lot more of it coming down. Like one property came down
Exactly.
30,000.
exactly my point. Yeah, you're seeing some
I
drops in
mean,
prices.
you are definitely seeing some
Yep,
drops in
yep.
pricing.
And that's
So,
scary in a way, but it's not. Don't ever get too scared about something like that, because
No.
I've seen in being in banking, I've been in banking 16 years, and I've seen more millionaires made over purchasing real estate when the market was down than anything else, any other industry I've ever seen. So real estate's where it's at. It's just you have to be cash heavy up front or have a really good bank behind you to buy in a downturn.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that.
And a little bit of patience.
And a
A
little
little
bit of
bit
patience.
patient.
Because I bought some land last year off the tollway,
Yeah.
the Chisholm Trail,
Very
and I
smart.
sat there and I
That
look
was very
at
smart.
what Burleson's going to do off of 1016.
Yeah.
Yes.
That big development they're going to do
It's
on the
huge.
east side.
Chisholm Summit. Yeah. It's a big
Yeah.
deal.
I'm not too far on the other side from that, so I'm like, yeah. But then you look at Cleburne. Cleburne's coming this way. Then you look at
Growing.
Fort Worth,
Yes.
getting all the way up to Crowley Road,
It is.
1187,
Yep.
It is.
and that's pretty much all commercial. I mean, they've done the development. It's commercial even if they're developing. I mean, that's
Yeah.
residential, but really, when you talk about developing, you're talking about more commercial
Sure.
up front that eventually becomes residential, where you and I help them. So I'm excited.
Yeah, it's
When-
exciting times, and
Yeah.
I know exactly the one you're referring to. It's just back behind where we're at in our location at our bank, and there's 6,000 homes coming in that specific subdivision.
Yeah.
I think it's for the
And
Tarleton College, right?
It's not
'Cause
far
they're-
from the Tarleton College, but
Right.
that whole corridor from
That's gonna bring a lot of
1187
people.
to almost up to 916, they've got like I want to say, don't quote me on this, but I read an article recently. There's a $6 to $8 billion development over the course of 10 years coming in off of that toll road. Restaurants, retail, that kind of thing.
Mhm.
And with all the houses coming in, it's going to change the look of Joshua, especially because a lot of that's, or actually all of Chisholm Summit is Joshua School District.
Yes.
And it's Burleson, city of Burleson, but Joshua School District. So they're both tied into that pretty heavily. So it's going to change the look of South Burleson, North Joshua quite a bit.
Oh yeah, and they're going to
gonna
be
be
putting a
interesting.
road. Oh gosh, I can't remember all the details on it, but I know they're going to be putting a new road in Joshua too. They're trying to buy out a lot of properties that are.
Yeah, that's
I wanna
probably
say it's
part of
right
that
off
same
of-
development.
I think
Yeah,
so.
Lakewood right there.
I believe so.
Yeah, that's
yes.
right by where I'm at.
Yeah.
That's actually happened. They're working on the development of that right now.
Yeah.
Dirt work's already started, and it's
Oh,
going to
okay.
tie. So if you know where Lakewood is, right there by the QT, Lakewood is going to tie into the toll road.
Oh yeah.
So, and that's going to kind of tie back into 917, and there's a project coming in to expand 917 as well. So,
Which is good. We
Yeah.
kind of might need it.
yeah, 917 for
We're
sure.
growing so much.
917, I grew up in Cleburne. I'm from Cleburne, and I grew up kind of driving 917, and I hate the 2-lane road because you can't pass somebody, and
Oh yeah.
I tend to drive fast, so I like to go around people if I can. So if there's any police listening, I don't drive fast. I'm sorry. I may go 5 miles over the speed limit. I don't know.
We'll
just
find out
realized-
when he
It's all
leaves.
good.
Shouldn't
Yeah.
say
Leaves
that on
work.
live air. Yeah,
No,
Yeah.
it's all right. It's all
I'm
right.
kidding. I'm kidding. Yeah, that's cool. But yeah, no, there's a lot of stuff coming into to the area. A lot of competition too. A lot of banks in the area. There's a lot of commercial owners. There's a lot of good banks in the area. People always I refer customers to other banks often. People think that's crazy, but I have a lot of good relationships with a lot of bankers in town, and there's not a bad bank in Burleson. In my opinion, there's a lot of good guys out there, and the market's competitive. So
It
hey,
is.
I say if you can get the deal, take the deal and run with it. So I'm here for you if you need me. That's what I like to tell people, and to me, it boils down to customer service and how quick you can handle something and get something done for somebody and do it right. That's the key. So I try not to talk too much. I try to perform, but it's out there. There's a lot of competition, like I said, but there's a lot of good bankers out there too. We're blessed to have that in this area for sure. I've been in areas that don't.
Absolutely.
Well, it's still a relationship business that you've got as a banker.
Absolutely.
And that's a rarity. Anytime I get someone calls me, if Bobby sent them over to me, I'll be like, well, how do you know Bobby? Well, Bobby helped me with this and this. You know, it's still, instead of, and no offense to the big banks at all, but it's really hard for those giant multi-billion-dollar banks to have relationships the same kind as, well, you know, my dad was over at Grandview Bank and he dealt with this person, and now I've been dealing with Bobby, and it's really good. It's that relationship that you can still have is really cool, and gives that small town feeling. Which, hey, that's Joco Community Radio.
Yeah, that's what we're all about.
We may dive back into that a little bit more. That's a good point.
Joco
we'll back off the break here. Yeah.
All right. Hey guys, we're going to be right back. Stay tuned. Don't go anywhere.
Hey, travelers, do you want to save money on your next flight? Then pick up the phone and call. That's right, call, because the best prices are not online. They're with SmartFares. See, SmartFares has special deals with the airlines. When they have unsold seats, they use SmartFares to fill them. So you get airline tickets at ridiculously low prices. Our prices are too low to publish online. With the extra money you'll save, you can book another trip or treat yourself to dinner or shopping. So stop searching all of those travel sites to find the lowest price on your next flight. Let one of our SmartFares expert travel agents find ridiculously low prices for you. Call SmartFares today and get the best price on your next flight. Guaranteed. Also, save up to 50% off business and first class tickets.
855-325-1820. 855-325-1820. That's 855-325-1820.
Out of deck carpet giving you the blues? Tired of your old dingy and broken tile? Let my friends at the Floor Store in Cleburne, Texas give your home the makeover it deserves. This is Old Taco Joe coming to you for the Floor Store. Whether it's carpet, tile, wood flooring, or real wood laminate, the Floor Store can cover all of your flooring needs. Located at 405 West Henderson Street in Cleburne, Texas, owner Brent Harris can help. Shower tile, tub surrounds, even backsplashes. Give them a call today at 817-641-9444. The Floor Store, they've got you covered.
When you're hungry for tender brisket or some delicious homemade cobbler, then look no further than Leach Brothers Barbecue, located at 1106 East Henderson in Cleburne, Texas. Leach Brothers has been family owned and operated since 1950. Take it from me, Taco Joe Orwinski. Todd and his family have been filling my belly breakfast, lunch, and dinner for a long time. Heck, I even have my own booth. Open Monday through Saturday, 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. Come see them for dine-in, carry-out, and all your catering needs.
Serving Johnson County, Texas, Joco Community Radio.
I see you there laughing at me.
Come on, Chandler. Come on, Chandler.
Don't mess it up.
I'm not going to mess it up. All right. Hello. Give me 4 minutes. Hold on. All right. Hello, and welcome back. Joco Community Radio is proud to be the voice of Johnson County, Texas, and is live 24/7 on the TuneIn Radio Network. TuneInJoco.com is the place to find all the ways to listen and watch, and the station app is also available for free on Android and Apple devices. Simply search your store. Check out our lineup and more at JocoCommunityRadio.com. This episode and more brought to you by Patriot Claims, making your insurance work for you. Reach out to your Texas sales rep at 844-839-4245. Be sure to dress your arms and more at thetiffy.com. All right. Welcome. We are still here. I hope you guys are still listening. If not now, later.
They're still there.
They're still there. Yes, I know it. I know
We,
it.
we got Bobby here. There's somewhere they're going to leave.
All right, exactly. This
Well,
is
that's
good
probably
information.
Probably why they left. Yeah.
Oh, no.
Exactly. Yeah. For sure.
So I'm going to ask you my question that I have for you, and then I'm going to let him, because I know he's got a good one for you too.
Yeah, for sure. He's
So,
always got a good question.
He's always, he does.
I mean, it's a question. It's not steered.
Yeah. So my question is, say you have somebody that comes in and, you know, the interest rate is a little scary. How would you present that to somebody that is a little terrified of the interest rates right now?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, first off, you know, we pride ourselves in we're in this with you, you know, so we're not trying to just give you money and then leave. You know, this is a transaction between us and you, and we're a family in this deal. So I'm going to try to give you the best advice. I don't know everything. You know, I try to listen to them as much as I ask them to listen to me. Typically when somebody comes in, I shut up and I don't talk much until, if anybody knows me out there, they're saying that's not true, but I try not to talk much. I listen to what they need, and then I try to dissect that as best I can. But to answer your question, you know, first off, don't be scared. You know, that's the number one thing. There's no reason to have fear, because if you're afraid of it, you know, there's a reason you're afraid. It's probably not because of the rate. It's probably because you're concerned about the business you're going into, or, you know, you've had some failure in the past about something. So I try to figure out, you know, what's in your head first off. You know, that's really where I'm at. But, you know, the rate environment we're in, if you look at historical performance over the last 30 years, you know, the rates have done exactly what they're doing right now. I mean, in the 80s, prime was 16%. So, you know, still prime at 6.25 is nothing. So we're being forced in this. I'm calling this probably, it's more like an artificial recession, if you would. I don't know if that's the right term, but we're being forced into a recession based on rates. You know, we're not in a recession if you look at, you know, demand. If you look out here, I mean, every restaurant's packed, you know, everything there's business happening. So, you know, the problem is the dollar has been devalued. So, you know, it takes more dollars to do more things now. You know, it used to go to the store and buy, you know, a carton of eggs. Now it's $3, $4 more. That's the same thing happening on a massive scale from a commercial standpoint. So, you know, that's my first advice is don't be scared, because rates are going to come back down. So, you know, let's look at this deal and see if you can cash flow based off the rates we have now. Let's look at your excess overage. Let's look at your whole profile and see how this matches what you're trying to do. You know, and if it makes sense, then I'm going to tell you, hey, let's try to work something out. If it doesn't make sense and it's something I don't think you should do, and not that I know everything, but I've seen a lot of stuff, and I do this every day. I see a lot of different loan packages coming to me. You know, I'm going to probably just try to discourage you from doing it. And if it's something that I just can't get my arms around and I feel like it's a decent deal, I'm going to refer you to somebody that I feel like can help you. So, you know, I'm going to try to help you first and foremost, and we're going to chit chat and make sure what you're doing is what you need to be doing first off. And second off, you know, is this a passion of yours? Or are you doing it because, is this a hobby or a business? That's the first thing I always ask somebody. Because if it's a hobby, you probably need to rethink it, because hobbies don't make money. Right. Businesses make money. So I have a lot of people that come in that I've talked to in the past that want to get into something because they're passionate about it, but it doesn't make money. So, you know, you can, if something, you know, you like something that much, it can quickly deteriorate your processing speed for the lack of making money versus enjoying what you're doing. So, you know, if you win the lotto, you know, that's one thing. You can go out and do whatever you want to do. But if you're trying to do a money-making business, you need to have a business plan. You need to have looked it over. And that's why you said that earlier. You know, if you come into me and you've got a very well put business plan, you've thought through this, you've done your demographic homework, you know your competition, you know where you're at, that goes a long, long ways, not just with me as a banker, but with, I promise you, with any banker in town that's looking at a commercial credit request. Oh. So that's kind of how I would assess that.
And if you've already got a lineup of employees that are ready to come work for you.
Yeah, exactly. For sure.
That's always a big one.
Always a good thing. Just don't overpay them. You know, that's a big thing. So you want to keep good talent though. And I'm a big fan of, you know, I'm okay paying a good employee, you know, plenty of money. Just make sure, you know, they're proven and they've got a good track record, because you've got to pay to keep talent, especially nowadays. I mean, we could go on for an hour about that, but that's a whole nother thing. I mean,
you can work at McDonald's for $13 an hour.
Oh, and it's hard to find good help. You know, we're looking for people, or we're looking for people at the bank. So if anybody out there is looking for a job, feel free to contact me. But I think we're fully staffed right now in Burleson, but we've got some other locations and some stuff coming up that we're probably going to need. And I've got several friends that works in banks that are looking for people. So it's hard to find good talent right now for sure. So, but yeah, if you got a good business plan, you got a rapport of employees coming with you, and you've got some experience, I mean, that goes a long ways with me and any bank, like I said. So that's how I would start that conversation. So that may be the conversation, but that's the way I would start it. So yeah, you bet. But great question. Yeah, very great question. Hopefully that won you over. So we'll talk after. Right?
Yeah, we're gonna talk after. Yes, we are.
There you go. Yeah,
it won me over. You won me over.
Yeah, I won you over. Well, that's good. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. The air's
It's
getting real
already-
hot over here, blowing out this mic.
Yeah.
So I don't know what's going on. It's a little hot.
Just don't kiss it; it'll burn your lips.
Don't worry. I don't know who else has been talking into this
There's
thing.
no
So
telling.
you told me who's been
We
in
wipe
here,
it.
so I'm sure not going to touch it.
It was me
Yeah.
actually
It
that
was
was
you?
on that one
Oh,
last
okay,
this
well,
morning.
I'd rather
Yeah.
be you than him. That's
Okay.
fine.
Yeah, no, it wasn't me.
Yeah.
It was me. It was before I ate lunch, so
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
good.
Well, don't let him
Awesome.
ask questions because he's got some pretty.
You got some.
Right. He's
Yeah,
got some pretty
well,
tough
actually,
ones.
actually, while you were talking, I thought of something else. I wanted to change this up a little bit because you've
We
got,
can always have you back.
Yeah,
Well,
no, I'd love to.
Oh
It's
yeah,
fun. This is
we'll
fun.
we'll get you
Yes.
back,
This is
but
fun. Never asked me twice to talk. I'm good.
no, it won't.
Yeah.
We'll be just fine.
I didn't get any
Yeah,
hand
that's right.
movements that time from you either, so we're good.
You're
So
good.
you
You're
can hear
doing
me now.
great.
You're
Yeah.
close to
So
the-
I'm not. I'm
close to
close to the
Next time
mic.
I'll
Yeah.
let you know my
I like
cues.
it. Yeah,
Good,
yeah. I feel
good.
like a flagger on American Airlines. Yeah. Got a buddy that does that.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, he works at American Airlines. He's a
awesome.
flagger out there on the strip, man.
very important.
Almost got hit by a jet the other day. No joke.
Oh dang.
Yeah, he was taxiing in. He wasn't paying attention.
I've
Oh.
wondered about those
Yeah.
guys.
He said they have heat strokes all the time out there. It's real in the real heat of the summer.
I
Boy,
believe
it's
it.
sad. Yeah.
I believe it here. Yeah,
Crazy.
Pedialyte.
Yeah.
Be on the Pedialyte.
Yeah, union
Water.
up there. That's tough. I've never worked for a union, so that'd be interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Well,
Cool.
you probably they'll take care of
I
you.
don't want to get off topic.
No,
but yeah,
no,
you go
they'll
ahead
take
with your
care of
question.
Can I would just want to say this now because you brought that up, but
Yeah.
I used to be a gate agent.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
Try driving one of those little gates to get to the airplane. Oh my god.
The little tug wagons. Is that what you
They are
drove?
challenging. Like, because
Yeah.
you have to line it up perfectly. It's ridiculous.
You never hit anybody, did you?
I didn't,
You
but I
didn't?
didn't
Good.
always hit the spot that I was supposed to, and
So,
I would have
good.
to have somebody else come in and fix it for me.
So you have good track record. That's historical performance. That would
Yeah.
go good on a loan. You know.
Oh,
So-
okay. Hey,
if you want to buy a tug inside an
Duly
airport,
noted.
come see me.
all right.
I don't know how you're going to transfer that to business down in Choco.
I'm
but,
trying. I'm trying.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know
We
what's
got you.
going on here.
I got you.
Well,
We're good.
well, let's talk about something we might be seeing here that's
Yes.
also commercial. Now, for residential, anything up to fourplex, so 4 units or less, I can do them. Any residential banker or mortgage company is going to be able to help you out. You get over fourplex, anything over, it's considered commercial.
Multi-living, correct?
Yeah,
Okay.
we could be talking condo,
Yep,
of course, apartment buildings.
correct.
And so, what have you heard? Because I have to think with the way prices have gone up, where used to you get a house for 150, 200,000, very difficult
Very.
in Johnson County even to get that. Very difficult.
Yep.
It just speaks to, okay, at some point condos are going to have to be a bigger thing. What do you hear about that coming this way? 'Cause,
Yeah, no, that's
Fort Worth has several.
That's a great point. Yeah, I'll go straight to downtown Fort Worth. I don't know if you know, there's several condos down there. For instance, I've got a friend that lives in the tower in downtown, the old Bank One building. And, if you start pricing that, you start looking up there, there's several places for rent right now. But if you go to actually buy one, I actually looked at buying one a long time ago, and they're crazy expensive. And the biggest thing with condominiums is the HOA dues. So a lot of people don't realize, if you go buy a condo, you're talking, depending on the square footage is how they charge you on the HOAs. He has a 1,200 foot condo in the tower on like the 5th floor. He pays almost $1,000 a month in an HOA due. So, you're talking a house payment in some cases just on HOA dues. Now that covers, pool maintenance. You have no maintenance, obviously, but
Yeah.
$1,000 a month is a house payment for some people. So, but as far as the expansion of that, I don't see the condominiums growing as much as I do the apartment complexes,
Yeah.
because apartment complexes are cheaper to get into. The problems you have with apartment complexes is a lot of these people that are coming into the area right now, they're big investment firms that have done this for many, many years. And what they do is they come in, they build them, they make them look beautiful, fresh, clean, the best place to live in the area. And then you move in, and then 5 years later, you're looking up like, what happened? Well, what happened is that investment firm came in, built it up, made it look beautiful, and then sold it to what I'm not going to call them a slumlord, but they sold it to somebody that's all they're worried about is the rental income coming in every month. You've lost the maintenance, you've lost the good management, and you've lost that little appeal you have, because now next door is a newer, better place. So you're seeing that a lot with apartment complexes popping up around here. If you're coming from a house to an apartment, you don't want to live a place that's crummy. You want to live in a nice spot. And there's a lot of really nice apartments around here, especially in Burleson. I know, especially in Fort Worth, you get up there off Edwards Ranch Road area, there's some beautiful, beautiful apartments up there. Now, they're a lot more expensive. Don't get me wrong. You're going to have a higher profile to live up there. But like in this area, They've got some multi-living coming in just off of Renfro, across from Fresco's area, Old Town. They've got some condominiums coming in out there that's been a work in process for quite a while. Probably I'd say 6 to 8 years going on, and they just now broke ground. So you're going to see some of that. It's more of a duplex townhome is what I would call it.
Okay.
Kind of like what's behind HEB here in town.
So will they have
And,
an HOA then if they're more like a duplex kind of situation?
They will, but it's very, very minimal.
Okay,
It's
gotcha.
not compared to a condominium because you don't
Gotcha.
actually own it. You know,
Right.
if you pay rent, it's built into your rent payment. So,
Yeah.
you know, that's the big difference of paying rent. And, you know, I've seen a lot of apartment complexes on your topic. You used to have to be, you know, 2 or 3 times your monthly income to qualify for that rent. And I've seen some of them. This is the same thing that happens after, you know, 4 or 5 years goes by and they sell them. They drop that to 1.5 times, you know, your rent. So, you know, I hate to say it, but it allows somebody that's not quite making as much money to come in, change the classification of the apartment complex a little bit. And, you know, the maintenance is the biggest issue because they just they get away from funneling the money into the maintenance side and they're putting it all in their pocket. So that happens, and they make a lot of money doing it. Don't get me wrong.
And so
I know
they're
some
at
people that do
1
that.
times the rent?
Some are. Most places are
Wow.
2, and I've even seen 3.
Oh, there's 3.
Yeah,
I see a lot of
easy,
3
yeah.
with rent.
3's a big
Rent is
deal.
3 times
Some
the
of them are
rent.
2. I know the one behind HEB, I believe, is 2. I don't quote me on that, but I think it's 2. I've got a friend that just moved in over there. But you know, to your point, I see multi-living growing quite a bit because I wouldn't say it's an inexpensive way to live, but it's a non-commitment.
Right.
And that's what people are looking for. They don't want to commit. So,
Mhm.
you know, they don't want a 30-year fixed rate mortgage on them that they're freaking out that their house isn't going to be worth that in 30 years, which, you know, if you look at historical values, real estate's always gone up, you know,
Yeah.
maybe not in the immediate, but over time it will. So,
Worst case, the land by itself, the appreciation of the
Absolutely.
land itself.
land is gold right now.
But if you'll take care of your
For sure.
house,
Yeah, that's
you-
the big thing.
you know,
Yeah.
throw a little paint on it every
Yeah.
once in a while.
Exactly.
You know,
Yeah.
peeling paint, rotted wood.
Sure.
Replace that stuff as it starts to happen.
Sure. Yeah, and that's exactly right. And that's another point to your multi-living is, you know, I hate to see people, sometimes you have to rent. I mean, it's out there for a reason and it's okay
yeah.
to rent. It's a great time. It's a good thing to rent. But what I hate to see is when I see, you know, a middle-aged couple having to rent because they can't afford a house and they're just throwing money, you know, down the drain, in my opinion. They're building no equity in their house. They're nothing. You know, they're throwing money just to live every day, which they have to. But, you know, there's ways around that. If you can get in a house and get some equity built, you'd be surprised. You could get in a house for probably what you're paying in rent, you know, a lot easier than you think.
Even with the rates.
Even with the rates. Yeah, just
Well,
come see
they are.
Jason. He can get you approved.
Oh yeah, piece of
Yeah,
cake.
Jason's the man.
Piece of cake.
Exactly. But that's a great question.
But I do like what you said about the duplexes. Being out from West Texas originally, not a whole lot of duplex living, but everything I had ever seen out there about lending on them was one person owned both units. So they owned the whole thing and then they would rent out, right?
Yeah.
Well, you get up here and you can actually own one unit.
Oh, I know. I just had a client looking into that. Like they only own one of the units. The other unit is owned by somebody else. So
Yes.
the roof was completed
Correct.
on one side and the other side of the roof looked terrible. I was
Yeah.
like, why?
Yeah.
I didn't understand. So I
Yeah.
had to call and I was like, is this owned by the same person? They're like, no. And I was like, really?
Yeah. Yeah. No,
Why would you
there's-
know about both?
Yeah, no, there is. And there's some like that here in Burleson. Over in Old Town, there's a subdivision back there. They built some townhomes in, and they're fourplexes under roofs. So we call it a community roof. So it's one unit, but there's 4 separate legals to that. So there's 4 houses under that one community roof. They just did some of that behind HEB as well. There's some more of that going in out off the toll road, and
Wow.
you know they're a hot area because it's low maintenance because it's not very much yard to keep up. And they're cool, they're cute. You know, I've heard girls call them cute all the time. They're cute, they're easy to maintain. I think they're cool. You know, they're low maintenance. But it's when push comes to shove and you're trying to sell it, just know that's not going to sell as fast as a house typically. I mean,
No.
you're marketing to a smaller market out there than you are with a 1 to 4 family square foot, 3 to 2 house. So the market's not as hot for them.
Well, and
Absolutely.
normally that's a first time home buyer
Correct.
situation where
Yes.
it gives them an option when they're like, well, I can't afford a $350,000 house right now. What do I do? I can't own anything. No, that's not correct.
Exactly. Yeah. And you're seeing a lot of that. You're also seeing a lot of elderly people, or I say elderly, but older people that are retired, that are downsizing. They love that. So downsizing into something that's smaller, less maintenance. They don't want to have to sit there and mow an acre every weekend. They want to go out and enjoy life.
We have a call coming in. Hold on, let me
We
see
do.
it.
We have a call coming in.
Hello.
Hello, Naveen.
Hi. You are on the radio.
I'm sorry, ma'am.
You're on the radio.
No, ma'am. We're from Senior Services,
Okay,
and
so you are on the radio.
I'm just
but
completing.
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
I thought we had a caller coming in. He
I
didn't
know,
like what I
thought
said.
so too.
Yeah.
You never know. Sometimes it says spam. Sometimes it's actually a legit call.
Senior
so.
Services. Yeah, he didn't
Yeah.
like what we had to say about that.
I know.
I don't know what's going on, but yeah, you see that a lot. With older
Tiffany,
folks.
please screen.
There you go.
Right.
There you go. Yeah. But yeah, you see a lot of people downsizing right now. And hey, I totally get it. They've got a ton of equity in their 3,000 square foot house, and they only need 1,200 square foot now, or 1,500 square foot, and they sell their house and pretty much pay cash for what they're buying. That's smart. If you're downsizing, so you'd be surprised. A lot of these smaller homes are people downsizing, not necessarily first time home buyers.
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah. And because the same reason a young married couple wants to go out and get land and have some land to mow and a few acres and all that, it's the same reason that people that have been there for 20, 30 years mowing that stuff are like, I'm tired of this crap,
Exactly.
man. Give me somewhere where I don't have to mow, trim trees.
Yeah, and that's expensive. Maintenance is not cheap.
Yeah.
So if you don't want to do it yourself, you got to pay to have it done.
Yeah.
So,
but yeah, a lot of that.
different motivations.
Yeah, but duplexes they're big right now. Like I said, duplexes it kind of gives you that house feel, but you're not stuck in an apartment.
Right.
So you got to actually have a backyard.
So,
not too bad.
but I think before we've got about 8 minutes left.
Sure.
Wanted you to just talk a little bit more, and I think I hit on it at the end of before the break.
Sure.
The difference in there's a few of you guys here in Burleson, your relationship bankers, and speak to that a little bit.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that segment. That's very nice of you. So, I was telling Jason before, and he knows this. He sends us business, and we send him business. But we pride ourselves, not just me, but Grandview Bank in general. We pride ourselves in customer service because we are still a community bank, and I know people hear that all the time. You're a community bank, but we truly are a community bank. Like I said, our owner lives in Fort Worth. Comes in the office every day in our location in Fort Worth. Comes to the Burleson location quite a bit. Our CEO is local. He's actually going to move his office to Burleson in the next few months. So we are generally a community bank. And what I put inside that term community bank is when you walk in the door, you're talking to somebody that can make a decision. So you're not saying, hey, fill out this application and we'll call you back in 2 days. And I'm not picking on any big banks or anything like that, but you get that treatment a lot of times at bigger banks and it's not the person you're talking to. It's not their fault. It's just their system because they do not have the manpower on the ground inside that branch at that location. They can make a decision or has what we call loan authority. So their loan authority is in a high-rise building down in Plano that they have to send that application to and let them decision that loan. So, that's where we pride ourselves big time at Grandview Bank. And that's where I've prided myself my whole career in is customer service, building a relationship with my borrower. Like you touched on earlier, talking about, what I tell people when they first walk in, I want to know them. First thing, I don't start talking about the deal. I want to talk about them because I want to know their character, who they are, where they're from, what they've been through, get an idea of, their background because their background goes a long way with me in my loan decision process, and depending on the loan amount, obviously I'm not the only deciding factor, but at least you can talk to somebody that's connected to that decision process and that can kind of steer you down the path of, hey, this looks really good. Let's do it. Or, it's not so good, but here's how we can get you there. You've got somebody that understands what they're doing, that's got some experience doing it, and they can actually, make that decision on the spot rather than having to push it up the ladder. So that's what I kind of mean when I say customer service, and then just treating people with respect because, they may not necessarily know. I hate when I see people that walk into a bank and they don't necessarily, they're scared to ask a question because they don't know. Like I would be scared to ask you a radio question because you're a radio expert. So I tell people this all the time. I have some people that I do business with that are truck drivers. I mean, that's the most basic American job you can have right there is a truck driver. That's awesome. I got a lot of customers that are truck drivers and they walk in and they're scared to ask a banking question. I tell them, well, I don't want to ask you a question about a Peterbilt 379 either. So, because you know a lot more about that than I do.
Right.
So don't be
Stay in your
afraid to
lane.
ask a question. Yeah, stay in your lane, right? And that's a good topic. You know,
Yes,
that's
it
exactly
is.
what I mean by that. Stay in your lane
Mhm.
and feel free to ask questions. I may not know everything, but we'll work through it together.
Yeah.
You know, banking's what I do every day. So I'm probably going to know more about that specific topic than you do. And that's why you're here to see me. But don't feel bad to ask questions. And, you know, that's a big customer service thing. Because if you don't know every little terminology at some of these bigger banks, or you don't hit the right nerve with whoever you're talking to, they're just going to kick you out the door. They're never going to want to talk to you.
Well, and that's again that relationship deal. If I'm talking to someone on the phone, or if they come in my office in Burleson, and if the answer is no, that's no today.
Right.
But I'm trying to build a relationship
Correct.
where it's like, look, it's no right now, but here's what we have to do. Whether that's a credit repair specialist, or we've got to work on paying down some credit cards. We've got to work on whatever. Hey, here's a plan. Here's a road to where you want to go.
Exactly.
So it's no, which is negative, but it's not no forever.
Right.
It's no at this particular point in time.
Correct.
But
Yes.
here's how we're going to get there.
Exactly. And I love that you said that.
And then you keep that relationship, and the client, it's an open door of, okay, let's do this and that, instead of just nope, don't qualify, next.
Yep,
You know?
exactly. And I love that's exactly right. What you said is exactly what I meant by everything I said. And you don't get that a whole lot nowadays. And I don't think it's because banks don't want to provide that service. It's because they can't.
Right.
When you get as big as some of these bigger banks out there, you can't afford to pay somebody of our caliber to sit in the lobby for somebody to walk in the door, because nowadays banking has changed so much.
Yes.
And I mean, I'm only 36, obviously, but I've been in banking 16 years since I was 20. And I've been very fortunate through my career to work for a lot of seasoned, what I would call veterans in the banking world that's retired now. But I learned a lot from them. And, when you're around somebody like that, you try to shut up and listen. But those people, they worked in an era where everybody came in the bank. You would line up on Fridays, and the teller line was out the door to cash their checks. Nowadays we have turned to a virtual society, good, bad, or indifferent. I don't know if that is, I'm pretty old school for my age, but I am a technology buff. I love technology, but I also like that face-to-face interaction, handshake.
Yes.
Let's talk one-on-one, because you cannot get a personal relationship with someone over the telephone. You just can't. You got to talk to them, and you got to be able to put an eye to an eye and a face to a face and have that relationship. But my point is, banking's changed so much where, the old school, they want to come in and talk to you, but everything's, even with the older school generation now, they're too busy. They don't have time to come into the bank. So you, as the banker, you've got to go to them, and you got to make it easy for them to transact business. Whether that be closing a loan, signing a loan, you need to make it easy on them, because they're busy and they've got a ton of stuff going, just like you do. They don't have time to sit down and waste their whole lunch hour to come in and sign your loan docs. You need to make it easy on them, and that's your job to do that, or that's the way I feel anyways. So that's part of the customer service feature that I think was elaborating to.
Yeah.
And you like that video feature. Well, I like that video feature even for lenders too, because
Sure.
you can put a video out there, even in a text.
Yeah.
You can send a video call,
Sure.
or video text to your client. So I think that that's pretty huge too. Just for those that, like you're talking about, that old school mentality is kind of starting to fade.
Sure.
It seems
Unfortunately, yeah.
Unfortunately, yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, I love that. I
Me
love
too,
being in
yeah.
front of people.
Yeah, but you got to keep up with the times.
You
Yeah,
do
for
have to
sure.
keep
And
up
it's
with the
changing.
times.
Yeah, for sure, it's changing. But like I said, we offer that. That's the thing. Like I said about us earlier, we have some technology. We're not as slick as some of the big guys, but for our size, we've got some pretty decent technology, and we have somebody there that you can talk to help you show you how to use it. So, and you've got that one-on-one experience, and not just saying that because we're Grandview Bank, but there's some other banks out there still like that, but they are getting smaller and smaller because they're getting gobbled up by the bigger banks, because these smaller banks just can't survive in the market we're in right now without growing, because we make money by making loans.
Right.
And we've got to be able to do that competitively against some of these bigger guys.
Absolutely.
So, yep.
But there is a huge difference between a corporate bank and a
Huge.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's huge.
And thank you for saying that.
Yeah,
it's
no, it
big.
really is. And
It's big.
honestly, like, I would rather have somebody that doesn't have to have the corporate verify, or the corporate have to, and not to put them down by no means, but I would
Sure.
rather have that where I could just go in, get my business done, and I don't have to wait for the chain of commands to come in and take over.
And believe it or not, it's the same way on the employment side, because I've worked for some bigger banks, and, and they're good. They have a lot of good qualities, but I really like, that intimate relationship with my, customers. And it's hard to find at the bigger bank because they don't allow you to do it because they've got you doing this or that or the other. And, your call tracks or vice versa. I try to say, let me off the leash and I'm going to make you some money, make you some loans, but you want to bring in quality stuff as well.
You know what we ought to do? We got 15 seconds.
Yeah.
Is get I believe some commercial real estate agents.
Yes.
And maybe set up a time where
we can have you back.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I enjoyed being here, guys.
You and the agent can talk.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thanks for having me. You bet. It was fun.
Thank you, Bobby, for coming on our show. Bye, guys.
From Burleson to Venus and Grandview to Godley, this is the voice of Johnson County, Joco Community Radio.